I paid for a truck stop parking spot, but at 2:30 a.m. I found some guy in it, drinking beer, smoking something illegal and laughing in my face. In this video I'll tell you exactly how I got revenge, and how his career ended that night. He cracked open a beer, lit something illegal, and laughed in my face when I asked him to move from the parking spot I legally paid for. He had no idea I'd worked for his company before and that I knew exactly how to destroy him. If you've ever been pushed around by someone who thought rules didn't apply to them, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where justice doesn't just knock, it kicks the door down. And drop a comment if you've ever seen karma come in the form of a tow truck. Let's get into it. I'm a professional truck driver. It's not just my job, it's my life. Out here on the road, parking isn't just a convenience. It's survival. And when someone tries to mess with that, it gets personal fast. Now, if you've never been in the trucking world, here's what you need to know. Most truck stops across the US have a mix of free parking and paid reserved spots. These reserved spots are gold. They guarantee you a place to park for 24 hours, usually starting at 4 p.m. They cost between $15 and $25 depending on the stop. The truck stop where this story takes place charged $17 for a reserved spot. Pretty cheap for peace of mind. And with how my night was shaping up, I needed every ounce of it. That day I was scheduled for a late night delivery, the kind that stretches your patience and your sleep. So at around 3:30 p.m., I pulled into the stop a little early, paid the $17 and locked in my reserved spot. I even went inside to speak directly to the manager on duty, just to be crystal clear. "Hey," I told her, "I've got a delivery up the road tonight. I'll be back late, but I'll still be gone before 3 p.m. tomorrow." She was chill. Told me it was no problem. She'd mark my spot as sold so no one else could claim it while I was away. And with that, I drove off to do my delivery, feeling tired but at least prepared. Now here's where it all starts to unravel. My delivery ended up being a total nightmare. By the time I finally got unloaded and cleared to leave, it was 2:30 a.m. I was exhausted. That kind of tired where the world gets fuzzy around the edges and you start questioning if you're still awake. But at least I had my parking spot waiting for me, or so I thought. I roll back into the truck stop and pull toward the reserved area, and my stomach drops. Every single reserved spot is full. I double check, then triple check. I know exactly where I parked earlier, but it's gone. Replaced by another rig that definitely doesn't belong there. So now I'm sitting in my cab at 2:45 a.m., half delirious, legally paid for a spot, and someone's stolen it. I call the manager on duty. Thankfully, it's the same woman I talked to earlier. "I paid for a reserved spot," I say. "I'm back now, but it's full. Someone's parked in a spot they didn't pay for." She takes my info, verifies my reservation, and then says the words I needed to hear: "I'll send someone out to check trucks. Sit tight." So I pull into the fuel island, the only safe place to sit temporarily, and I wait. A few minutes later, I see her coworker walking through the lot with a clipboard and flashlight, checking license plates and tickets. Then he stops. One truck has no proof of payment. Bright orange trailer. Company logo I instantly recognize. Now here's the twist: I used to work for this company. I know their rules. And I know what they absolutely don't allow in their trucks. From my vantage point at the fuel island, I can see the employee knocking on the driver's door. The guy opens it with a Heineken in one hand and something not even remotely legal in the other. Let's just say it wasn't tobacco, and it sure as hell wasn't something corporate would smile upon. I roll down my window. I want to hear every word of this train wreck. "Employee, you didn't pay for this spot. You need to move or we'll have to get the police and a tow involved." The driver just laughs. Then slams the door in the guy's face. Threatens him through the cab window. Just a full-blown, "I do what I want" moment. You could almost hear the fuse burning down. The employee doesn't hesitate. He calls the police and the tow company. And sure enough, within 10 minutes, red and blue lights flood the lot. Now at this point, I could have stayed quiet. Let the cops handle it. But this guy hadn't just taken a parking spot. He'd stolen my rest, my sanity, and for a few moments, even my safety. That's not just disrespect, it's dangerous. So I walked over to the cops, explained the situation, and then made a call to the safety director of the trucking company he worked for. This part? Oh, this part was delicious. I told her exactly what had happened. Her driver parked illegally in a paid spot. He refused to move. Was found with alcohol, illegal substances, and something else I won't say directly, but it goes bang. Oh, and that he'd been hauled off by the cops in cuffs, and the truck was now on a tow hook, heading to the impound lot. The line went quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Thank you. That driver is done. That's a zero-tolerance policy violation across the board. And just like that, he was unemployed. Because he thought no one would call him out. Because he thought he could bully his way into a free spot. Because he played stupid games and got exactly the prize he deserved. As the police led him away, he was shouting something about just needing a place to sleep, and this is harassment. But I just stood there. Not smug. Not angry. Just calm. Because when someone like that gets caught not by luck, but by a combination of their own arrogance and your refusal to back down, you don't need to gloat. Justice speaks for itself. That night, I pulled into the now vacant spot I had paid for over 12 hours ago, cut the engine, and finally slept. Not just with a quiet cab, but with a quiet mind. What's wild is this story isn't about a parking space. It's about respect. When someone disrespects your time, your boundaries, your effort, they're not just taking a space. They're trying to prove they're above the rules. But the road has its own kind of justice. And last night it showed up right on time. If you've ever seen someone get exactly what they deserved, smash that like button. Subscribe for more real stories of karma catching up to the cocky. And let me know in the comments what's the most satisfying revenge you ever witnessed? Because sometimes justice doesn't knock. It parks.